Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Fox98 here. Welcome back to a brand new video for you guys today here on the channel. Today we're here for my F1 2020 My Team Career Modes Season 1 finale. We are here for the final round of Season 1 and we're looking to try and end on a high. And as you can see then, starting things off, we're getting in all of our resources and our money and everything like that to come into this race weekend. And as you can see, we've currently got 15.97 million and 2,900 resource points, which is absolutely fantastic for us. If you guys end up enjoying today's video, feel free to drop the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well, as we try and hit 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I just want to say a massive thank you for all the love and support on the videos as of late. They've constantly been smashing #1 out of 10 every time I release the next video in terms of views compared to all my other videos, or my last 10 videos. So yeah, it's been really well appreciated, and yeah, I'm really glad you guys are showing that much love. Now, before we crack on, I am currently having a little bit of a scout at some of the drivers that I would like to sign for next season. Now, of course, there is still the option of keeping Jack Aiken, but a lot of you guys, in fact, have been giving lots of mixed opinions in terms of which driver you think I should sign, or which driver, or keeping Jack Aiken, obviously, for that matter. And I'm currently going through and just scouting out the drivers that I really want to keep an eye on for the remainder of this season, and then heading in towards next season. Of course, you can see there, Aiken has got 35 experience with the rest of the stats, which just completely went off the screen, so no idea where he's at. But of course, I will potentially be maybe looking at somebody else, but you'll have to find out at the end of the episode. So be sure to watch all the way to the end, and you'll find out what I do, whether all my people that I'm scouting right now is a complete waste of your time, or if one of those that I do scout does end up becoming a part of the team. But now, we're going to go straight into the race weekend and get cracking. So we're just going to start things off then with our qualifying session here at Abu Dhabi, a circuit that I actually genuinely really like. I think it's a beautiful circuit. I just don't think, obviously I think we all know, it just doesn't provide with fantastic season finale Grand Prix races, unlike Interlagos. But for me, I think the circuit is absolutely stunning. First flying lap, you can see that we get very wayward on the exit, the second to last corner, and then going towards the start-finish line. It compromises our run, and it's a 135.0, and you can see there that we're behind our teammate Jack Aiken. And no offense to Aiken, but I knew that with that lap time, I needed to improve, and that's exactly what we're doing here. By over a second, we've managed to find some performance, up to 1.3 seconds then, as we come towards the start-finish line, and we absolutely fly up the order, and we get through in P7, comfortably making it out of Q1. And I'm putting any form of threats straight to bed then. So as you can see, as we'll be able to showcase in just a second in the Memento, we will, in fact, I think I was on my phone at this point, which is why it's taking me ages to actually skip through this piece. There we go. You can see there that we got through in P7, just behind the top 3 teams there. And obviously, it was a bit annoying that I had to use another set of my soft tyres, but it is what it is. And then Jack Aiken, surprise, is knocked out in Q1. 0.4 of a second there behind Kimi Räikkönen in terms of getting out of that first part of qualifying session. But for us, we obviously just, strapped on the best of the best to get ourselves through. It's Q2 then, and I went out on a scrub set of the soft tyres just to get a banker lap in, and it's a 1 minute 34.6, which was put me in P6 at that point. Verstappen there just behind me, but he is on the medium compound tyres. Of course, I'm not falling for the same trick as last time, whereby I went out on a set of mediums in Brazil to only get countered by the rest of the field who went on the soft tyres. Now, coming towards the start-finish line here on my second flying lap now. This time around, it was another clean lap here at the Marina circuit, and it's going to be P3, and that's easily enough to get us through into the third part of qualifying and into Q3. For, I don't know how many races I've been into Q3. I think it's been since the Japanese Grand Prix onwards, so I didn't get Q3 in Japan, but from USA onwards, I want to say, we've got Q3 appearances, and as you can see that, I was actually scrolling through the pair of those. Both Red Bulls and Sebastian Vettel get knocked out in Q2, so no wonder we had quite a high grid position of P3, because the rest of the field, well, a lot of the heavy hitters were the Red Bulls and the Ferraris, and they were knocked out in Q2, so big shock there. As we come across the start-finish line, though, we only had one opportunity in Q3 to get something done, and it wasn't quite enough. I think I probably should have gone out on a set of scrub tyres again, and then set a time on my fresh set of softs, just to get a feel, because I think a 33.4, I'm pretty sure I've gotten close to the 33 O's, and if that was the case, then that could have put me in P5 around that area. But at the end of the day, it's 8 tenths per second off the pace. We've clearly outqualified the racing points. We've got great pace today, and obviously we're in front of the Red Bulls and we're in front of the Ferrari of Vettel due to their poor qualifying session. So overall, it's a great qualifying session, as Claire has said there. So for once, she actually is coming up with the same sort of bounds of information than what I am producing to you on a daily basis, which is quite frankly life-changing to your brain cells. Take that whichever way you wish. And as you can see then, interview complete, and rivalry with Charles Leclerc. Again, we lost the point today, so that means that Leclerc is on 25 points to 17, which does mean he has beaten me in the rivalry. I've got no chance of coming back, but that was kind of expected. So with that being said and done, let's get straight into the race. It's time for the Season 1 finale at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Time then for one final race in this year's Formula 1 World Championship. 2010 saw 4 drivers in contention for the title coming into this race, with Sebastian Vettel prevailing to become the youngest world champion to date. Is there one last sting of the tail awaiting us today? Well, it's time to find out. Here comes the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the Marina circuit, just over 3.4 miles long with 21 corners and 2 very long back straights. There are 2 DRS zones going into the heavy braking zones of both Turn 8 and Turn 11 and offer plenty of potential for overtaking. The circuit comes with its fair share of tricky corners as well, in particular 15, 16 and 17, which will certainly test a driver's braking management. Anthony Davidson is with me one last time this year as we bid a fond farewell to another great season of Formula 1.
It's been another great year of racing, but let's not look back just yet. We've still got one more Grand Prix ahead of us. Some of these drivers don't know if they'll be in the sport next year or how competitive their car might be even if they are. So this is a race where every driver should be striving to make the most of it.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Sainz, Ocon, Thomas and Perez, Stroll, Albon, Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, Kvyat, Vettel, Daniel Ricciardo. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Gasly, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Lando Norris and Kevin Magnussen. Russell, Latifi, Aitken and Romain Grosjean sits at the back of the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
Alright then, so we're going to get ready to get racing here. Once again, we're on the grid now. It's going to be a 2-stop race, soft, medium, but crucially, we've gained 3 places off the bat because of grid penalties either way. So we're in for a very, very strong race as we go to 5 red lights, and it is lights out, and we go here to start the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It's another cracking start for us then. Automatically getting in front of Carlos Sainz now as we go in towards turn 1 here. I have to go a little bit wide off the circuit because Ricciardo, I think it was, forcing Hamilton wide, and I thought I was going to get a whack from Lewis, and I didn't want any front wing damage, so I've gone off the circuit then to gain those Ocon actually, my bad. But yeah, I went off the circuit then. Don't know if that's I would needed to get those places back, or maybe if I just left them alone, but I decided to keep the places. I just felt like didn't really have much opportunity. I could have backed out and waited a little bit longer, but you know, I was a little bit aggressive off the start line, got a great start and pressed onwards. Bottas though leads the Grand Prix on the medium compound tyres, crucially enough, so going different in this Grand Prix. Ocon closing in behind that Renault is very quick in a straight line as we go in towards the first corner, and that is job done. We go on to lap 3 of the Grand Prix now, and the gap to myself and Ocon is up to 1.5 seconds as Hamilton now has made his way up into second place now in this Grand Prix in front of the Frenchman. Now he's onto the back of me as we get a huge amount of understeer, getting that corner completely wrong, taking a nice bouncy ride in towards the middle sector. Take the warning for corner cutting, but there's not really much I could have done then, because if I tried to come back onto the circuit, it's just so bumpy offline that you just end up just, well, spinning really and crashing heavily into a wall. But as we now go on to the back straight here, Hamilton now is in prime position to go for the move here upon myself as he opens up the DRS now, and this move I decided not to fight. There's absolutely no point. The Mercedes-Benz is just too quick at the moment in this career mode. And hopefully by Season 2, midway through next season and into the latter stages of Season 2, we could be on par, if not quicker, than the Mercedes-Benz. But of course, that is a challenge that we are here to try and accomplish. But Ocon now, crucially, is back in range of us here. Only 4 tenths of a second, half a second now, gap to himself and Ocon as we go through in towards the middle sector here, trying to get onto the back of Lewis here. And a lap later, I was trying my best to get DRS from Lewis Hamilton, but it's not going to work now for ourselves. And Ocon is going to have a good chance here to attack us now. With that Renault probably actually being quicker in a straight line than the Mercedes. Here he comes now, so I automatically go defensive for this particular attack here. As Ocon now is going to go towards the outside line, in towards the hairpin now, or the chicane, should I say, if that matter. He breezes past us there, but we're going to brake a little bit earlier and then allow the car to just roll into the corner and just shove Ocon wide. Take the line as we would, and stop Ocon from pretty much taking any form of advantage from us, because he's got no way to really attack that second apex. He'd have to take such a tight line in there, and we could then just open the corner up for ourselves and get a nice, brilliant exit. That's exactly what we did. So as we press onwards now here, we are on to the next lap now, lap 5. Ocon still only 6 tenths of a second back, but we're now starting to obviously lose track of Mercedes cars, as you'd expect. But for me, though, my tyres were unfortunately going off as we get a little bit of a back end tank time cone in there. And we're going to drift it now through this final sector here. And Ocon now gets very close then to the rear of our car. But in towards the sector last corner now, my tyres were absolutely shot. And I said, enough is enough. I am boxing right now, as I nearly even hit the wall then as we come towards the pit lane now. But I believe, yeah, these soft tyres didn't work for me in the opening stint. Really wasn't happy with them. Obviously, we did a qualifying lap on them in the first place, so they're already worn out. But what was my biggest worry was that it was the tyre temperatures. Oh, yeah, great pit lane there. Awesome. Great to see my mechanics doing the tyre... Nope, cool. But yeah, what was crucial in that is that it was the tyre temperatures that shot through the roof. The tyre wear itself was obviously quite heavy, because we needed to pit on lap 6 anyway to get off of them. But to see the fact that the tyre temperature's gone up is quite concerning, because I set up the car not really thinking about tyre temperatures, because it's not really a circuit traditionally for me where I overheat my tyres. But now onto lap 6 of the Grand Prix, I've got to get past this traffic very, very quickly, because I'm going to be getting 1 lap to 2 lap undercut on a lot of the drivers around me, and that's not going to necessarily get me in other places, because I mean the cars in front of me were the Mercedes-Benz duo, but it does allow me to, we're going to go down the inside into turn 1 on George Russell and make a move stick on him. But crucially, the cars behind me, if we can get that undercut in place, it just gives us that buffer that we need, that maybe then I can be able to manage a proper gap, then not let them get into DRS territory. That's kind of the plan that I'm going with here, is to just manage the DRS gap, because really when I was fighting with Ocon, I never really got to get that DRS gap that I wanted, because when Hamilton came onto the back of me, of course we go down the inside here at Latifi. In fact, he kind of just let us through really in some sort of way. But yeah, when I was talking about the attack on Ocon, I never really got to be able to get the 1 second advantage on him, because Hamilton had DRS on me and he passed me, and Ocon had DRS on Hamilton and closed right up to the back of the pair of us because he had double slipstream. So we never really got that chance to manage a gap between myself and Ocon, and that's exactly what we're going to be going with today, because I feel like I'm going to be racing Esteban Ocon, and you can see a lot of the drivers then coming out of the pits. That's Hamilton coming out of the pits there. We're going to go down the inside though of Romain Grosjean in towards the first corner now, as we go through the S section here, as I like to call it, this beautiful sector 1 area. And we're actually closing up to our teammate Aiken now as we go in towards the chicane here, and I was desperate for a little bit of DRS, so I absolutely fly it through the chicane, and luckily enough we do just enough to get ourselves into DRS range of my teammate Aiken. And now it's all about just trying to get the move done on my teammate and get on with our Grand Prix. So you can see that we're using our overtake, using as much battery as we can, as we now blast on with DRS here on the back straight. And we're getting very close to Aiken, and we're going to go for it. He actually tries to cover off the inside line, but we just get enough then to go down the inside of Aiken, as Magnussen now is going to be having Lewis Hamilton all up for company now. But Aiken does have the reverse DRS here, so let's see what he does now. He's going to go for it, does Jack Aiken. This is exactly what I didn't need, was my teammate scrapping away with me on a completely different strategy. But in towards the triple chicane here, we get past Jack Aiken quite comfortably there, and move done. We can stay in front of my teammate there. A little bit of a worry then that I had to fight with my teammate so hard, but at the end of the day we got the job done. But speaking of someone that's not really getting the job done, that's Lewis Hamilton, because he's stuck here behind Kevin Magnussen in the Haas. Now we're going to try and see if we can get onto the back of them, but crucially, if you look at the gap behind, that gap to himself and Ocon is now up to 6 seconds, so he's been stuck behind the back markers like we have but crucially as well with that undercut in there as well, that paved us away for a little bit of advantage, we have built a very clean gap against him. Now as we go in towards the chicane here, we get the move done on Kevin Magnussen, just like Hamilton did. I really wanted to get that move done on Magnussen there and then, so then I can at least just use the DRS here to just stick with Lewis Hamilton for the time being. Lap 15 of the Grand Prix now, we've got a yellow flag now up ahead. Bottas leads the Grand Prix with Lewis Hamilton in second. Of course, Bottas is 13 points clear in the Drivers' Championship compared to Lewis Hamilton. So, of course, Bottas is going to be wanting to have a clean race to win the title. But he's not going to, because Bottas is out of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the last race of the season. And that is Bottas' championship done and dusted. Lewis Hamilton now takes the lead, not only of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but for him, it's the lead of the Drivers' Championship. He's just got to finish in the top 4, I believe it is. And the job is done. So Bottas, heartache there for him here today. But for us, we need to focus on ourselves here as we get very close again to the wall on the exit there. We're coming in now for our second stop of the Grand Prix. Vettel is right behind us. In credit to Ferrari and Sebastian Vettel, one thing that, well, I mean, in fairness, it actually makes sense because Vettel actually understands a race strategy. Ferrari obviously don't. And Vettel is able to tell Ferrari that. Starting on those medium compound tyres, really got a very good end of the first stint. Went long on his medium tyres, then pitted for a set of soft tyres, and then he's come out, and again, he's now on the final set of his mediums for the end of the race. But crucially, he has actually closed that gap to us quite nicely there. So Vettel is in a very strong position here for a podium finish. And that's very, very nice for him. Not so nice for me, though, because obviously we inherited second place off of Bottas. So if Vettel does get in front of us, it's not the end of the world, because, of course, we can still try and hold on for P3. But it just puts a little bit more pressure on us as we now open up the DRS here. So we're going to attack Antonio Giovinazzi using as much battery as I can. Never actually realised until I recorded, because I'm voice recording the Brazilian Grand Prix and this Grand Prix back to back. I've just realised, for me, on the Brazilian Grand Prix, the ERS sign, the percentage, was in yellow in Brazil. I obviously must have done the next race, this race, on another update, because the ERS sign is now in white. I mean, it's nice and clear, so I credit to that. But I've only just realised that now as Giovinazzi here might just come back and so in towards the triple chicane, but we're alright from Giovinazzi's threat. We can cover that one off. Next up the road is Gasly and then Lance Stroll. It just depends now on which one of these drivers is going to be staying out. I'll tell you which one is staying out. It's Kvyat who is actually staying out here. And we're going to close up to the AlphaTauri man, and we're going to make a nice move down the inside in towards the triple chicane, setting a purple middle sector. But of course the middle sector is just straight lines, and I had DRS in a straight line, so what did you kind of expect from that? But lap 22 of the Grand Prix now. Gap to myself and Ocon is 3.7 seconds. Vettel, though, half a second behind me now as we go in towards the hotel section here, braking in towards the corner here. And we get a whack in there from behind. I think Vettel just locked up the tyres then. It's gone straight into the back of the car. Crucially, it's not going to affect our car. I wonder if Vettel took any front wing damage from that, because he made a crucial mistake. He's lost a little bit of time. Gap's already up to a second. I think Vettel there has taken front wing damage. We can confirm that right now because he's coming into the pits then. So Vettel then crucially locking up the front wheels then, going straight into the back of my car and taking front wing damage. So the big threat that I had in this Grand Prix of Sebastian Vettel is gone, and now it's just a case of fending off against Ocon and Albon. And onto the last lap of the Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton has not only just won the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but against the odds has taken his 7th Formula 1 world title to equal Michael Schumacher. But for me, though, it is a scintillating second place here at Abu Dhabi. I even ran out of fuel across the line again, and a fabulous way to round off what has been a sensational season in Formula 1. And I'm really pumped and looking forward to Season 2 as Giovinazzi there gets Driver of the Day, which is something that you don't hear very often, mainly because his performances don't really equate to anything. But yeah, Lewis Hamilton, though, taking the World Drivers' Championship. Of course, he was like he was between 12 and 14 points back off of Valtteri Bottas, and Bottas with a heartache engine failure costing him the Formula 1 World Championship. And Lewis Hamilton will take that with ease. And Toto Wolff there is smiling on the pit wall. Two things to note: Toto Wolff is never on the pit wall. That's something that he's like perfectly afraid of or something like that. And also, I think he wouldn't be smiling at that point. I think he'd be absolutely fuming and probably punching his desk. But Lewis Hamilton takes the race win today. And also, Massive credit to Renault and Esteban Ocon. Renault have been making some phenomenal upgrades this season. They really have become a big force. And Ocon, with the podium here today, thoroughly deserved. He put the pressure on me pretty much from lights out to checkered flag. Without the undercut and also the bit of traffic, Ocon would have been way clearer of us. But crucially, like us, and I'm putting those perspectives into place, obviously we've got Esteban Ocon, sorry, we've got the traffic, and we've also got the undercuts that paid into my hands. And it's not a case of I'm not going to do them. Obviously, I was doing my best to stay in front of Ocon, and that's the truth. We did that to get in front and stay in front of Ocon, and it worked out wonders for us as we are the one taking centre stage there pretty much onto the podium. But as you can see, great recovery from Albon, finishing in P5, I think it was. My teammate Aiken rounding it up in P16 after starting P21. Ricardo, not a good race for him, P9. But Ocon there, started P4, finishing P3. Sainz, good job for him in the McLaren, but he would have probably wanted to finish on the podium where he was starting in P3. Drivers' Championship then, so Hamilton does in fact overtake Bottas to beat him by 13 points, meaning that he was 12 points clear. Bottas was coming into this Grand Prix weekend, and that failed to Verstappen then. Does manage to get in front of Sergio Perez in the Racing Point, who ends up on 114 points. Constructors' Championship, we actually do manage to get P3 in the Constructors' Championship, which is absolutely amazing. But you've got to start to ask questions about Red Bull, because they only scored 247 points in a full season in a Red Bull. Little bit debatable on where you want to go with that. But in terms of what happened with my fuel strategy, I mean, I guess I could have put a gamble and it didn't pay off. That was kind of the only answer I could really think of. But for me personally, I was just not looking at my fuel level, to be honest. I was too busy defending against Vettel, and then I was just sort of cruising home, and I just forgot about it, really. So, short and short, yeah, I just forgot, not bother me. In terms of the rivalry versus Charles Leclerc, we did actually beat him in the race terms, but obviously, overall, as you can see, we lost the rivalry. Leclerc wins 28-21. It was always going to be a massive challenge to beat Charles Leclerc in a Ferrari, and I wasn't really expecting anything else. I just tried to pick the easiest one I could, because quite frankly, I wasn't going to be able to pick anyone else, because they'd all smash me anyway, and they did. Now, having a look at the Team McLaren there, we did not complete 100 laps during the race weekend. I was actually shocked when I saw that. We were 6 laps shy. I did the extra the extra laps in practice, and also, obviously, I got through to Q3 in qualifying and did 2 runs on every occasion. Yeah, pretty disappointed that we didn't actually get through and complete those there, but it is what it is. We'll move, and we're now going to go back to the team headquarters, and we've got a lot to do, because we are going to be signing a new driver. Now, there's been a lot of people that have been saying to keep Jack Aiken. It fits the theme. Develop a young driver. He's part Korean. It would make sense. Well, he's part South Korean, and he's doing awful, so I don't want Jack Aiken anymore. It was never my plan to keep Jack from the start of this career mode. I was always going to ditch him very soon, and with my resource points being invested, now I can, my finances being invested, we can do that. Now, sponsorship renewals, we've got Satellite and Sudo, who are my 2 sponsors that I could potentially renew with. Now, they were both to achieve a fastest lap during a race weekend, I believe it was. I thought I'd go have a look and check out what other sponsors were around. In all honesty, I have absolutely no idea what sponsor I even picked. So we've got achieve the fastest lap in any session again, but this time it's from Laguna. And I just decided to pick them to go onto the car because they had decent gold bonus. And then I think I'd go back to Sudu again because they've got such a great gold bonus just for doing the same thing. And it's 2 challenges for the purpose of 1. It just makes perfect sense. But now we're going to go into the driver transfer window and we're going to go pick up our new driver. But before all that, of course, we've still got all of these stuff to do. So we're going to go ahead and do a power equipment upgrade. And then we're going to do a sponsor event for the drivers, and then quickly chuck in a power team building to sort that one out there. So in the middle of that, we've also got a press interview as well. So before we can do that though, we've got to go into the driver market and sort out what I want to do. Now, of course, Aitken, sorry mate, I'm not going to be renewing you for next season. Now, there was some comments out there in terms of what drivers to sign and stuff, but I already had my eye on one man, and this is the man here that I want to sign. I want to sign Sergio Perez for Season 2. there's plenty of reasons for that, and our approach has been accepted by Racing Point. So we are looking to bring in Sergio Perez. Now, the reason for this is because he's got fantastic. He's just, for me, I said it when the ratings first came out. Sergio Perez has got a brilliant all-round card. He's got great experience. He's going to bring us a lot of resource points. He's got fantastic race pace, 91, and he's got very good awareness, and he's got sensational overall pace. So he's really going to put a test to us today. But, of course, we need to go into a bidding war with BWT Racing Point Formula 1 team versus Force Korea. Here we go, Canada versus North Korea, basically. And let's see who's going to win this bid then. So as you can see, Canada coming back in with a bid then. They decide to go with a £7.37 million bid. We're going to decide, as the Koreans, we've got better circumstances than Canada. Canada are going to try and finalise their deal. Can we finalise it? We win! With the highest offer of 7.37 million, and I will take that. Thank you very much. And in terms of the salary, we're paying in 7.37 million, obviously. In terms of the contract cost, it's 10.8 million. It's for 143 days. It'll expire on the 6th of July, and we have just got assigned Sergio Perez from Racing Point has decided to leave them and come and join Force Korea. And I was always pretty much going to pick him. I said when the rates come out, he was just the best fit. And really, really happy to have him on board. People were saying like sign Charles Leclerc and stuff like that, but I would have to have very high facility specs to do it. So I wanted to keep it kind of realistic in a sense. And obviously I want to go to Lewis Hamilton later on. But now we've got a press interview here with Will Buxton.
Sponsors seem to be climbing over one another to get their name onto your car. What do you plan on investing that extra money into?
My own personal savings, I guess, so I can run away and continue my military development.
Would it be safe to say that in terms of team orders, your career comes first in
Yes.
your team?
I lied.
Your second driver really seems to be improving at a rapid pace. How dedicated are they?
I mean, they'll be more dedicated than Jack.
You're now one of the most competitive teams on the grid. What was the most important thing that helped you achieve this?
Pointing a gun to everybody's head and saying, I'll have it my way, otherwise you're dead. It turns out it's a good trick.
Sergio Perez always seems to get the best out of the car he drives. Will you be able to give him a championship-winning car?
Yes, obviously. What else do you expect me to be in here for?
It's been wonderful to spend some time with you. Best of luck out on track.
No worries, mate. No worries about that. We'll get the security escorts to take you out. They're not that threatening towards you, but you'll be fine. But anyway then, guys, we're now going to wrap up this season. And as you can see, Grosjean has now retired from Formula 1, which does mean that in next episode, you're going to find out who has transferred where, because of course there's a seat now at Racing Point and there's a seat at Haas. So there are going to be some driver transfers going around, and we have finished off the season. So let's go and see what we've got. Now, crucially, when signing your drivers, you will not get your end of season bonus to do that. So if you're going to sign your drivers, make sure to do them, save up and then do it. Obviously for me, I saved up so we could get Sergio Perez. Now we're going to get our extra bit of bonus boost. Now we got to level 16 on the team acclaim, which is awesome. Myself and Perez both level 12. And as you can see, we got ourselves 40.5 million prize money, getting us up to 48.48 million. Banging 4848. Guys, if you have enjoyed today's video, drop it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well. Next time, we're going to be going into Season 2. It's going to be myself, Sergio Perez, Force Korea. We're going for some more dubs. Let's do it. Take care all. Peace.